Welcome to this brand new video where we are going to talk about page index, which is also known as vectorless RAG. So this is one of the trending topics which is getting a lot of limelight, and at the same time it is also one of the most interesting topics in the world of AI. Okay, so in this video we'll discuss about page index framework. Okay, so I have decided to upload series of videos for this topic. Okay, so in this video we'll talk about page index framework, and then in other videos we'll talk about the document search in page index and tree search in page index. Clear? Now talking about the prerequisites, it's basic things like vectors, what is embeddings, what is vector db. So in case if you don't know, you can just quickly go to ChatGPT and it will give you the answer to all these questions. Okay, understood? So in this video we're going to talk about the page index framework, the vectorless RAG framework, like what it is, what was the problem initially and how that problem was solved, and then again what was the problem in that particular solution, then how vectorless RAG solves that problem, what is the method, what is the working of vectorless RAG. Okay, so before starting we have to understand the root cause. Let's start with the very root problem. Okay, so let's say you are on ChatGPT or any LLM or Gemini or Claude or Olama, any LLM. Okay. So if you go to ChatGPT, let's say you go to ChatGPT. So this entire window, this page that you can see, let's say this is nothing but ChatGPT. Okay. Okay. This is ChatGPT. Now what you do, whenever you just assume that in the chat window there is something like this. Okay, this imaginary box in the chat window. Okay, so now you start giving some prompts to ChatGPT. For example, you wrote, "Hi, my name is let's say Raj, and I am 29-year-old," something like that. Okay, now your GPT is going to reply something to you, something like, "Hi Raj, how are you? Hope you're doing well," something like that. Okay, now again you will you continue the chat, something you wrote again something, then GPT is again reply to you something. Okay, then you write what is my name. So it will be like, yeah, your name is Raj, something like that. It is going to respond. Okay, then again you're going to write something, let's say what is my age, then it is going to be like, yeah, your age is somewhere around 29 or something like that. It is going to answer. Actually, this is very clear, right? Now why it is able to answer your name and age? Because you have already provided it with some information. Okay, like your name and your age, something like that. Okay, now as you move further, when you start writing something else, for example, you again wrote, "I'm not feeling well, is there any medication or any solution to this problem," something like that you wrote. But if you see, now you're going out of this box, this blue box, you're going out of this, you're hitting the limit of this box. Okay, so what will your AI model do? It will do nothing, but it will shift this down, this box, it will just shift it down so that it can accommodate the new query, this new query. Understood? Now what happens over here? So the thing is, it has accommodated the new query, but it has lost some information that you had already previously provided to it. Okay, so now as you continue the chat, something like this, something like this, no, it is again going to cross this limit, cross this boundary of this box. So again it will slide this window down, and again you will lose some information, and this keeps on happening. Okay, so now what happens over here? As this is happening you're like continuing the chat, again model is answering something, you're continuing the chat, model is answering something. As you're continuing with the chat, your model is also losing the previous context, the previous information. Okay, so now the problem over here is, now if you go to the model, and now if you ask the model, what is my name, what is my name? Okay, now it won't be able to answer you, and why? Because now it has forgotten the previous information that it already had about you, that you had already provided it. So why this happens? So this is happening because of the context window. Okay, so this blue box you see, this is nothing but your context window. So whenever your model hits the limit of the context window, it starts forgetting the previous information that you had provided. Okay, so now this is, you can say, it is kind of a problem, because you want your model to remember as much information as possible that you had provided to the model, but this is always hitting the context window limit. So if you talk about the technical definition of context window, so it is nothing but the amount of text your AI model can remember. Okay, so your models, all the models have some limits, have some context window limit. So if your information that you're providing to the model, if it hits the context window limit, then it starts forgetting the previous information that you had provided. So I hope this much is clear to you. Okay, now the problem over here is, in order to solve this problem, let's just talk more about this problem. Okay, so let me just erase all of this. So let's say you have this PDF. Okay, let's say this PDF is something about Python tutorial. So by reading this PDF, you are understanding, about different concepts of Python. Okay, Python programming language. Okay, so what you decided, okay, you provide this PDF to the chat GPT, okay, as the context. So now when you provide this PDF to the chat GPT, so inside the context window, it is going to fetch all the information which is there in the PDF. So it is going to fetch all the information inside the context window which is there in the PDF. But the problem is, this PDF is like a very long PDF, let's say 10,000 or 20,000 pages PDF. So this information will keep on increasing since this is a very long PDF. So because of this, your information is now crossing the context window limit. So if this happens, then again this window starts shifting down. Okay, hope you're getting my point, what I'm trying to say. So if this happened, this window will start shifting down, and because of which it will lose the previous information. But the thing is, this previous information that it has lost, the model has forgotten. This is also important because this is the part of your PDF. So for example, if you write a query to the model saying something which is related to this information, it won't be able to answer you. Why? Because it has lost the information. So for example, you're writing to the model, what are functions in Python, okay, but it has lost this context about functions in Python, so it won't be able to answer you because it doesn't have that in the context window. So this is not good, right? So this solution is not good, by just picking the content of the provided document and putting it as the context of the LLM, or provide it as a context to the LLM. So this is not good. Why? Because it will hit the context window limit, and it cannot accommodate this entire 10,000, 20,000 long document files. Now what is the solution to this problem? So the solution to this problem is nothing but a RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So in short, let me explain you what is RAG, what we actually do in the RAG. So instead of, see, previously what we are doing, we were just taking this PDF and putting this in the LLM and as the context, okay, which was not good. Why? Because you are giving too many contexts, because of which it was hitting the context window limit, and it started forgetting the provided information. So this was the problem. So now in RAG, what you do, for example, you wrote a query to the model, something like what are functions, same question, what are functions in Python, okay, something like that. Okay, now what RAG is going to do, it will not fetch this, fetch the entire information of this PDF. Instead, what it is going to do, it will find the particular topic. So it will find the section where it is talking about functions in Python. So now it will fetch this information in the LLM. So now your LLM has the context about the particular query, which is functions, not the entire PDF. Okay, so now your LLM would be able to answer you that functions are this in Python, and there are so many types of functions in the Python. Okay, understood what you do in the RAG? So basically, in RAG system, you don't provide the entire document as the context, entire file as the context. Instead, you just pick the relevant information based upon the query that you have asked, or the user has asked, and then you take that relevant information, fetch it in the LLM, and provide that particular information as the context to the LLM, and based upon that information, your LLM answers your questions. So this much is clear, understood? Okay, now, okay, no issues. Now let's talk about RAG in detail. Okay, so in order to understand this vectorless RAG, we first have to understand the RAG and problems associated with the RAG. Okay, so this entire pipeline that you're seeing over here, it is the complete RAG pipeline. Okay, so now the thing is, what you do in this RAG pipeline. So RAG pipeline is divided into two phases. Number one is indexing phase, and number two is query phase, okay, or retrieval phase. So in indexing phase, what happens? You take any document. So in this example, I'm taking PDF document. You can take HTML, your Word file, any type of document you can pick over here. So for simplicity, we are just using PDF document. So step number one is chunking. So what do I mean by chunking? Nothing but the splitting of this document. So you just divide this document into various chunks. Now what is a chunk? Okay, let me explain to you what is the meaning of chunking. So again, let's say for an example, you have a PDF, same thing, your PDF, a Python related PDF which teaches you concepts related to Python. Okay, so what you do, you thought that you will split it, and you can split it on basis of anything. So for example, you decided based upon pages, so page by page you will split. So this is page number 1 of the PDF, page number 2 of the PDF, then page number 3 of the PDF, then page number 4, 5, 6, so on, so forth. Okay, so this is the splitting you have done. So this is called chunking. So each page over here, or you can say, each splitting over here is called chunk. So this is chunk, which is representing page number 1. Then this is page number 2, which is nothing but chunk 2, and then this is page number 3, which is chunk 3. Okay, understood? So this is called chunking. And you can split the document on the basis of anything, like not necessary that you only have to split it page by page. You can split it word by word, character by character, or paragraph by paragraph. For example, in this page number 1 you have so many paragraphs. Okay, then page number 2 again you have so many paragraphs, page number 3 you have so many. So in the entire PDF is so many words, so many text you have. Understood? So what you can do, you can also make a chunk on the basis of the words. Like for example, you're like, I want to create a chunk, okay, and each chunk will have 500 words. So you pick first 500 words and you treat it as a chunk. Then you pick next 500 words, you treat it as a chunk. You pick next 500 words, you treat it as a chunk. Then again next 500 words, you treat it as a chunk. So this is how you perform chunking. So you can either perform chunking page by page, or you can either perform chunking character by character, or words by word. So here we are considering 500 words as one chunk, or you can even perform chunking paragraph by paragraph, anything. Okay, understood this much? So in this example we are chunking, let's say we are chunking on the basis of pages. So each page is a chunk in our example. Okay, hope you got this point. So now step number 1 is chunking. Understood? Now step number 2 is you provide all this chunk to an embedding model. It could be any embedding model like OpenAI embedding model. And what your embedding model does, nothing but the work of embedding model is to convert all these chunks into vectors. And finally we store all these vectors in VectorDB. Okay, so now if you dive a little deeper in the VectorDB, so exactly what is stored in the VectorDB, you just don't store the vectors in VectorDB, you store something more than that. So basically you store this particular chunk, all this particular chunk, each chunk you store in the VectorDB. Then the vector related to that particular chunk you store in the VectorDB. Okay, and then even metadata related to that particular chunk. What do I mean by metadata? Metadata means, like for example, this chunk could be in the page number 25 of the PDF. The author of this PDF is so and so. So these are the metadata that your PDF can have. Understood? Okay, so this entire thing is nothing but your indexing phase. Okay, so what you do in the indexing phase, you take a document, okay, you perform chunking, split it into chunks, and then you provide all these chunks into embedding model. It converts into vectors, and finally you store vectors along with the chunk, along with the metadata in the VectorDB. Understood? So this was indexing phase. Now let's talk about query phase. So what happens in the query phase? Basically, whatever query you write, for example, again, this PDF is related to Python tutorials. Okay, so what you thought, you write some query, what is functions in Python. Okay, then that query goes to embedding model. So instead of sending that query directly to the LLM, we first send it to embedding model. We convert them into vectors, and after converting them into vectors, we perform similarity search. So what happens in similarity search? So whatever chunks which are stored in this VectorDB, okay, so the chunks which are similar to these vectors, we get them as the output over here. So you can see, so for example, you wrote what is functions, it gets converted into your vectors, and we perform similarity search in the VectorDB, and you get the related chunks. Like this is the chunk which is talking about the function. This is also a chunk which is talking about function in the PDF, and this is also a chunk from the PDF which is also talking about function. And these are the metadata of the corresponding chunks, vectors of the corresponding chunks, and these are the metadata of the corresponding chunks. So for example, this chunk is present in page number 22 of the PDF, this chunk is present in page number 10 of the PDF, this chunk is present in page number 50 of the PDF. It could be like anything. Okay, and finally what you do, you provide this query to the LLM model, you provide this entire chunk as the context to LLM model, and you get your final output. So you will get some output on the basis of this chunk. So your LLM model uses this query, and uses these chunks, this retrieved output from the vector db as the context, and it generates the final output. So it could be something like the functions in python is this, and this information I'm giving to you from page number 22, page number 10, and page number 50 of the pdf. So see, so what you have done basically over here, you are providing this pdf, okay, but you're not providing this entire pdf as the context. Instead you are providing the relevant chunk which is related to this particular query. So this is the entire rag pipeline that you can see. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, so now let's just talk about the problem associated with this rag pipeline. Let's talk about the problems which is associated with this rag pipeline. Okay, so there are overall 5 problems, okay, we have in the picture. So problem number 1 is query and knowledge mismatch. What do I mean by that? So your rag answers you based upon the content, okay, and not intent. It answers based upon the content, not intent. Now what do I mean by that? Okay, so it is very simple. Let's say you have a pdf, okay, again I'm repeating, I'm using pdf as an example. It could be any document, okay, it could be a word file also, your excel file also, your html file, any document, okay. So you have a pdf, okay, and this pdf has content about, let's say, your finances, let's say your finance, and something legal documents it has in this pdf, some legal information, okay. So now in this pdf, let's say your finance section talks about your assets, your financial assets, your financial liabilities, something like that, okay. Just a second. Financial assets and financial liabilities, something like that, okay. And then the legal part of the pdf talks about your legal assets and legal liabilities, okay. So you go to your chatbot and you type tell me about my finance. So it will pick the relevant chunk from the pdf which is actually talking about your finance. So the bot will answer something like yeah, you have this finance, and in this particular financial year you earned so much amount of money, you invested in this stocks, you did this, you did that, something like that it talks about, okay. So this was the first question you talked to the bot, and bot answered something on the basis of your question, okay. Now the thing is, now you further continue this conversation and said, okay, what about assets? Okay, so first you told tell me about my finance, it answers something, okay, and then continuing the conversation you said what about assets. So when you talked about assets, your intention was financial assets, okay, but your LLM will not know this. Your LLM will be like, there are 2 assets, one is financial assets and one is legal assets. So it will now give you a very generic output which will be a combination of this, and this is something that you are not expecting, right? This is the problem. When you say what about my assets, you actually mean that your intent is I want my finance assets and not my legal assets, okay. So LLM is not able to understand your intent. So basically rag, if you see, it answers you on the basis of the content and not intent. So it just found the content that there is asset in finance also and there is asset in legal also. So let me provide you the combined information, the combined answer, which will be a very generic answer, okay. I hope this much is clear. So this is the problem. This is problem which is known as query and knowledge space mismatch. Now this also brings me to talk about this problem number 4. Yes, we will discuss about problem 2, 3 and 5. First let's talk about problem number 4. So now what is problem number 4? Cannot integrated chat history, okay. It is something similar to this only. So if you see over here, you wrote tell me about my finance, it gave you some answer. Then you were like what about assets, and it could not provide you the specific answer about this particular question. Why it has happened? Because when you write this query tell me about my finance, and when it answers this, so for LLM it then forgets this. Now your next query is treated as a separate independent query. Hope you're getting my point. So when you wrote this query, when you wrote this chat, okay, you got some answer, and when you continue the chat, so what your rag does, your rag treats each query as an independent, as a separate query. Okay, so it does not preserve your history, your conversation. Okay, so this is why, since it could not preserve your conversation, it could not understand that you're talking about you're talking about some finance assets. Okay, so that is why it could not answer you based upon your intent, because it didn't have the chat history. So let me just repeat in very short. First, you write this prompt, tell me about a finance, it gives some answer. Okay, and then when you write the other prompt, it is going to provide you very generic answer. Why? Because it deletes the previous one. I mean, it forgets the previous one. It doesn't consider the previous chat. Okay, so your RAG doesn't store the previous chat history. Okay, so basically it treats each query as an independent query, and then based upon it answers. So again, this is the problem. Okay, now let's talk about problem number 2, which is semantic similarity is not equivalent to relevance. You have a PDF that you provide to the chatbot. Okay, it could be related to anything. Then let's say you write some query. Okay, and information related to query. For example, you wrote what are functions in Python. Okay, what are functions in Python? Just a second. So for example, you wrote what are functions in Python, something like that. Okay, so let's say in the PDF, in page number 5, you have something information which is related to functions. Then in page number 6, you have information which is related to function. Then again in page number 12, you have some information. In page number 15, you have some information related to function. Then again in page number 25, 56, everywhere you have some information related to the function. Okay, now the problem is, over here the problem is your RAG based searches based upon the similarity. So on the basis of similarity, what it will find this chunk, it will find this chunk, it will find this chunk. So many information it has. So the problem over here is, since it has got now so many context, so it won't be able to give you a very specific output. It will be giving you a generic output. It will combine the information from here, and here, and then it will answer something to you, which you didn't want. You just wanted, I want something related to functions. Just give me a very specific information about this particular thing, which is called functions. But instead of that, it is giving you what is the definition of functions, then what are the types of functions, what are the uses of functions, what are the examples of functions, so many things. What are the advanced functions in Python, what is generated, everything it is giving you. And you don't want that. You just wrote, I want the definition of function, but instead of that, it is providing you too much of information and not the specific information. So again, this is the problem. Okay, hope you're getting, we are till here, you are with me and you're getting what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, so we discussed about query, this thing, query and knowledge space mismatch. Then we discussed about semantic similarity is not equivalent to relevance. Then we also talked about cannot integrate chat history. Okay, now let's talk about hard chunking breaks semantic and contextual integrity. So basically, what you do, you have a PDF. Okay, now you thought that, okay, let me just chunk this on the basis of paragraphs, or let's say on the basis of 500 words that we were previously I spoke about. Okay, so what you did, you pick first 5 words, 500 words, you perform a, you make a chunk. Then you find out next 500 words, you make a chunk. You find out next 500 words, you make a chunk. Then again next 500 words, and so on so forth. You keep on doing it. You find every 500 words and then you make a chunk out of it. Okay, so this much we are clear. Now the thing is, let's say you write a query to the chatbot, something like what are generators in Python, or tell me about, let's say you're writing, tell me about generators in Python. Okay, so let's say now this, all the words that you're seeing, this 500 words, then these 500 words, then the next 500 word, this one, then the next 500 word, this one, and then the next 500 words. Okay, so let's say in these two 500 words, first this 500 words and then this 500 words, this were belonging to one page only. So these two were in the same page of the PDF, and then let's say these 3 were in the same page of the PDF. You have this 500 words, this 500 words, this 500 words, and let's say this 500 words is related to all these words, all these is one entire page of a PDF, and and all of these are related to generators, the topic generators. Understood? So now what you did, by chunking, by splitting, what you did, you splitted the relevant information You just separated all the relevant information. So you only tell me, it is always better to keep this, to keep this information together, all this information together, or to divide this information. See, we are asking about generators. So it will always be better for the chatbot to provide, to get all this information, together. It will always be better for it. But what are we doing? We are converting them into chunks. So now the thing is, when your query gets a similarity search with the chunks in the vector DB, so maybe it will pick this chunk. Okay, it picks this chunks. But somehow it feels that your model feels that this chunk is not similar to this query. But this is not the case. This chunk is actually similar. This is something which is related. It provides additional information about the generators. It will not be able to provide you the correct, not, I won't say the correct output. It will provide the correct output, but the output will be, inaccurate, incomplete output. The quality will not be, as great as expected. Okay. Hope you understood this problem. Let's talk about the final problem, which is hard to deal with in document reference. Okay, so let's say you have a legal document. Okay, so you have a PDF document, something like this. Okay, and this document is a legal document. It talks about the rules and regulations that you have in, let's say you have a company, and this is a legal document about your company. Okay, you have a chatbot. You write the chatbot, tell me about rule number 4 from the PDF. Okay, so now what RAG will do using this query, it will remove similar chunks, it will pick similar chunks. Okay, and based upon the chunks it will give you some output. But now let's say in this particular chunk there is something which is also written as refer table number 5.4 in order to understand more about this rule. But the problem is, how will your RAG know where this table number 5.4 is there in your PDF? Okay, so let's say your table number 5.4 is like page number 100 of the PDF, but how will the RAG system know? Your RAG doesn't know that there is some table number 5.4 which is in page number 100. It doesn't know that. It just reads, okay, there is something table number 5.4, that's it. So now since it just reads it and it doesn't know where this table is lying, it will just give you output on the basis of these two information that it has, and after that it will give you some output. Okay, but the thing is, okay, this is output and this will be a good output, but again this will not be accurate output, the most accurate output. So in which case this output could have been accurate if the RAG also had considered that table which is present in page number 100. So I really hope that this much is clear to you very much. Okay, so these are like the 5 problems that we talked about. Problem number 1 is query mismatch, query and knowledge mismatch. Basically your RAG answers you on the basis of content and not the intent. Then where semantic similarity is not equivalent to relevance, we also spoke about it. Then we also spoke about hard chunking breaks semantic and contextual integrity. So we also understood the meaning of that. Then we also talk about cannot integrate chat history, and then hard to deal with in document reference. So basically if you provide any reference, so the RAG won't be able to find out that reference because it doesn't know that which part of that particular document has that particular reference. Okay, so if you have understood till now, so now you are ready to understand vectorless RAG. What is page index? Okay, so now I am coming to the main topic. So this much time I just took to lay the foundation to make you understand the problems that were associated with the traditional RAG. And now since you have understood the problem, now you will get why this vectorless RAG has come into the picture. Okay, so now let's talk about it in very much detail, in depth. So this is the captain of the ship today. This is the highlight of this video today, which is page index, also known as vectorless RAG, and it is nothing but a reasoning based retrieval. What does that even mean? It basically means that it mimics like a human being. That's it. So basically how you think, if I ask you, let's say if I give you a book, okay, and if I ask you any question related to the book, so how will you behave? It behaves the same way. So now let's talk about it in detail. I just randomly wrote Python PDF, something like that, Python tutorial PDF. So I just got this PDF from the internet. So just a random PDF I picked up. Okay, so you can see this document. So you can also go and type it in the internet, any PDF document, and you will get a sample PDF. So if you see in this PDF, okay, I asked you, let's say I asked you ki tell me about calculator in the Python. So what will you do? Basically, you will first go to this index, basically this contents page, right? So you would start directly, don't start going through this complete book, like where is calculator chapter about this Python in this Python tutorial. No, what you do first, you just go to the contents page. Okay, you start looking for calculator in Python. So see, can you see this, using Python as a calculator? And then you see which page number it is in. It is in page number 9. It is in page number 9. So basically what you do, you go to page number 9 of the PDF. That's what you do. And then you find the relevant information. Am I right over here? So I went to page number 9 and I got the answer to my question. So now you will read it and then now you will answer this question. Understood? Okay, let me now see these examples that I'm trying to give to you now. These questions, don't take it lightly. These are very, very important examples. Once you understand these examples, you understand complete working of the vectorless rack. Okay, so now let's say I ask you, tell me about the use of calculator in Python, and also tell me about if statements in the Python. So what will you do? You will first go and search, like where is calculator. Okay, you find this calculator thing in page number 9. So again you visit page number 9, you just find the content, page number 9. Now you think, is this sufficient, like this information that I've got about calculator and the user has asked, is it sufficient? So now you will be like, no, it is not sufficient. Why? Because the user has not just asked about the calculator, he has or she has also asked about the if statements in Python. So again you will go to the contents page and again you will start, you will try to find out where is the if statements. Okay, you get this. So you like, it is in page number 19. Then you will visit page number 19. Now you will think, okay, now is this sufficient? Now have I got complete information? So you will be like, user has asked to me about the calculator, which I found out. And second thing, he has or she has also asked me about the if statements. Again, I have also found out. It means I have sufficient information. Now I can answer the user on the basis of the question that he or she has asked. That's it. So that's what a human does. That's what you do. You are a human being. You think like this. So exactly the same way your vectorless rec thinks like this. So basically that is why we call it mimics human. Okay, so if you even go to the official blog page of the vectorless rack, the page index, it says that it mimics like human. So you can see it all talks about first context window. We also spoke about context window, and then we also spoke about RAG, which was the solution to it. See, to mitigate this limitation, retrieval augmentation has emerged as a dominant solution. So we also spoke about, then also we spoke about the limitations on the RAG, vector based RAG. And then we also spoke about vectorless RAG. Okay, what I told, it mimics like a human being. So if you go and check here, so it has written, see, it mimics how humans naturally navigate. Okay, understood. Now let's come to the point, like how the page index works. So this is the high level working. We'll also discuss in-depth working. Okay, so now let's say you provide a PDF. So what you do, you basically provide a PDF. You provide a PDF to the page index, and it creates a table of contents, TOC. What is it? Table of contents. Now you will be like, what is this table of contents? Nothing but the content page, the index page that we saw about. So this page is nothing but this is called table of content. So see how it is organized. The topics are written, then subtopics are written, the page number of the subtopics are written. So this is the content page, or you can say table of content. Okay, so what you do in what you do in page index, you take the PDF, you provide the PDF to page index, and then it is going to provide the table of content from that particular page, from that particular PDF. Okay, now what you do, you take the query. Suppose you write any question related to the provided PDF to the chatbot. So you provide the query to the LLM, you provide table of content to the LLM. So now based upon this query, it will traverse this table of content. It will try to find out that at which specific section the answer to this query lies, and then it will give you the final output. Let's just try to break this even more and try to understand it in more detail. So if you see, what you basically do, you provide the query. Okay, then your chatbot uses the query and this table of content, and then it selects a particular section of that particular PDF, and then it extracts the required information from the PDF. And after extracting the information, it is like, is the information sufficient? And if the answer is no, then again it will go to the table of content. Remember what we were doing in the Python PDF that I recently showed to you. If the information, when the information was not sufficient, you were again going back to the table of content. You were just finding out the particular section. So again it will go to the table of content, it will find the particular section, it will extract that required information, and once it is like, okay, now I have received the sufficient information, then it will answer your question or answer your query. So this is nothing but the entire working of vectorless rag. So I hope you understood the working of vectorless rag. Now finally, let's talk about table of contents in even more depth, in a bit detail, like what is the meaning of table of contents. So in vectorless rag, how this table of content is made stored. So in the PDF file that I showed to you, see this file. So you see we have this in the form of, you can say tabular structure in the text which we have written, the topic and then the subtopic, and then the page number associated with that subtopic. So your vectorless rack do these things in the form of tree. It forms a tree, a JSON tree. I'll show that JSON tree to you. Let's first try to understand it with the help of this visualization. So what is going to do? It is going to make some nodes. See, this is the tree and these are the nodes. Okay, so this is the parent node. So let's say this is the parent node, which is, there's a title in the parent node. Let's say this is Python related PDF. Then these are the children node that it makes. So let's say this is about the calculator, making calculator in Python, and this is about let's say variables in Python. Okay, so again there will be sub nodes, even more children nodes of even this sub node. So this is how your vectorless rag or the page index stores your TOC or forms the TOC, okay, in the form of tree, but in the form of JSON tree. So when I say JSON tree, how does your JSON tree looks like? Nothing, something like this. So it will first have the node ID. You see this node, this particular node, this node. So it will be having some ID. Okay, then this sub node, this children node will have some ID. Then furthermore, this nodes will have some ID. So this is like the identifier. With the help of ID, we identify that particular required node. So the node will be having, the node ID. Okay, something. Then there will be a description, a short description related to that node, something like that. Any or title. We also have the title related to that node, something like that. And then we have sub node. Basically we have the array. Then we talk about the children node. So basically this is the node ID of the children node. Then text information, something like that. Then we have some other child node. This is the information about that node. Then that's it. So we had so much of nodes. Okay, understood. So in case if you want to see the tree, how it is formed, if you go to this blog which I will share with you, over here if you see this is the sample of page index tree. So how it is made. So you have a node. In that node you have a node ID that I talked about. Then you have the name, or the title. Then you have a description of that particular node. You have metadata about that particular node. Metadata in the sense the page number about that node. Just like this, you can see this is using the Python interpreter. This main title, this is nothing but your one node. And if you see, this is the sub node in invoking the interpreter, something like that. And this is the metadata. It is in page number 5, page number 6, and this is the author of this PDF, something like that. Okay, hope you understood. So this is the metadata, the author, the page number, something like that. Then we have sub nodes. So again you have nodes inside that sub nodes. And then in this also we can have sub nodes of this also. Like what I'm talking about is, if you see this is the node, main node. Then these two are the sub nodes. Then further we have children nodes of those sub nodes also. Then even further we can have sub nodes. So this is the recursive architecture that you get to see in the page index tree. Okay, so this is the entire page index tree. Also one more thing, if you go to the medium.com, I had found one amazing blog related to this page index thing, and it is really a very nice blog, and a huge shout out to that blog. Yeah, so this is that particular article. I'll provide the link of this article as well. And this is an amazing article. Huge shout out to this article. Very nice article. It has explained, in a very nice, in a very amazing manner. It is always better to read the documents, to read articles. So because reading will help you understand things more. Okay? You're reading this article. If you don't understand any part of this article, you can again go to the ChatGPT and you can ask, about that particular part of that article, and then it will answer you. This is how you can learn. Okay, so I think This video has also become, I think, 1 hour long. So that's it for this video now. So in this video we spoke about page index. First, we talked a lot, right from the basics. We talked about the context window, the problem associated with the context window, then solution is RAG we talked about. Then again we also spoke about what is RAG, and again we also then spoke about the problems which are associated with RAG system. And then finally we got page index, like what were the problems which are associated with RAG that page index is trying to solve, or page index is actually solving. So we got to know that it is something which is like a human. It actually mimics your human behavior, it thinks like a human being. And then we understood the high level process of it, like the high level flow of page index working, and just broke down the flow in a bit detail. And then we spoke about table of content, like it is in a JSON tree structure that page index follows, and what are the contents in the tree that we have. So if you have any questions, you can also comment in the section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, hope you love this. Thank you.